Hey, what's up there, comrades? It's me, Nomad. Thanks for joining me again today. We have a quick little refurbishment going on for a video. I say quick because I've never opened a Sharp Twin Famicom before. I don't think that's too surprising. This system's actually in very good condition. As you can see, there's a little bit of grime near some of the buttons. Like, they really needed to get in between these little crevices and cracks. The sides are in great shape. The bottom seems to have a little bit of something there, so I'm going to look at that, get that cleaned up. But we are going to be opening this up. I want to clean the drive head for the floppy disk. It is having a little bit of trouble reading floppies, but I have gotten it to read multiple floppies successfully all in a row. So I just hit it with some compressed air, and it just seemed like dust was the problem. And saying that dust was the issue, there's a good chance it could just use a good cleaning inside. There may be a revisit to this. We'll see when we get inside of it. It's good practice in general to always change the capacitors of these older systems. That's one of the things I'm not going to be doing today, though, as I don't even have a capacitor kit. But we will be looking at the capacitors that are there to see how bad they are, if they're bad. There's a chance the capacitors are fine. They can last almost indefinitely. It's inevitable that they will fail at some point. Can't exactly always give a timeline. Unless it's a Sega capacitor. As much as I love Sega, they use some pretty inferior parts for a lot of their stuff, especially in the 90s. The Game Gear, you're going to be very hard-pressed to find a Sega Game Gear that's still working that hasn't had a capacitor replacement. Ooh, that screw was in there. I do believe that the seller of this mentioned that they did replace the belt, the drive belt for the floppy disk, which is good. I'm glad they did if they did. But that could explain that screw feeling a little bit stripped. And if that's the price you pay for a new working floppy disk drive, then, it ain't so bad. There's still a screw or two in here. 4, 5, 6, 7, right in the center. How did I miss that guy? Like I said, I've never been inside one of these. Honestly, never been inside of a floppy disk drive either. So it's going to be a lot of new for me when I get in here. All right. Okay, we have a wire. Alright, we have this wire here, which is connecting into the main board. Ooh, the board is dusty. Looks like that wire is going all the way up to the switch. Ah, there we go. That's our, looks like it may actually be using a little laser to determine if it's in disk mode or cartridge mode. But I'm already here on there, and if that is a laser, that means there's some kind of lens, some kind of sensor. So let me just hit that real quick with a little rubbing alcohol, a little good old-fashioned IPA, the isopropyl. Just a little bit, not too much there. And let's be completely honest, I don't really know what I'm working with here. I'm not going to kid you. So we'll put the lid to the side though. That's the only part that really needed working other than just some basic cleaning. This thing is dusty. They said they changed the band in here. They may have. They certainly didn't take any extra effort to do anything else, though. But can we see here? Let's get zoomed in. Over here is your floppy disk drive reader, and that would be your read head, just like you'd see on like a cartridge cassette player. So we're just going to take some of the same IPA I was just using and give that a little buffing. Wipe it off. Check the felt pad. That seems good. This would be our motor here, and I'm actually going to give just the tiniest bit of oil to the motor. Just one little drop will do. Oop. Now we do also have some rails that everything slides and rides across. So got another rail right there. Just try and make sure anywhere where there's metal on metal friction, I'm putting one new dab of oil. So honestly, that's about all I wanted to do to the drive. I am going to blow this all out with a duster. You know what? Now I'm going to, you know what? If that's for the, what is the point of the thing in the lid? Because this has to be telling it that it's in disk mode also. Huh. I can't help but wonder what that pad was for, but that completely deteriorated. I think that was just a buffer to try and cut down on vibration. That is crusty. Alright. Well, you know, should probably do the dusting first. So I'll be back in one moment. You won't even know I'm gone. Magic of editing. So I'm back with you guys now. So while I was dusting it, I was able to get a little bit of a look in a more familiar space to myself. And I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure someone's changed the capacitors in here already. And honestly, I'd say they did a good job. I really do not believe that these are the original capacitors. Also, the way they're sitting for some of them, like this may have been a surface mount. I think that may have been a surface mount, not a through hole. Yeah, I'm pretty certain this system has been recapped, and that's actually awesome. It looks like they did a very good job of it, a very clean job. I'll probably try to look up some stuff online for how the capacitors and such should look. See if other people have opened this system up. I believe that was a little bit of flux right there. That was, yeah. Yeah, someone definitely opened this up and cleaned it already, and I mean, the capacitors might not be brand new to today's standard, but yeah, those can't be original. These all of these capacitors basically look like the modern capacitors you would get now if you were to order a cap kit from like Console 5 or AliExpress or whatever. So the caps should be good, which is amazing. I'm going to stop saying that now. But now to get in there to clean up the cartridge slot and the AV ports, because the AV, when I tested this, was giving me mixed results. The audio was extremely crackly, which is usually a result from corrosion or a bad contact. But also, we could always use a cleaning for the actual pinout. I usually go with a slightly more aggressive method. These pinouts are really built to last. Even the original American NES cartridge slot, it doesn't stop working. It doesn't break and give up. It's because of the poor design for the American version, causing it to have a moving part like a hinge. The pins eventually just end up resting in the wrong spot. So the connector continues to work and will continue to work for a long time. It's just, it needs to be bent back, and eventually it may lose some of its elasticity. The metal, because metal's not exactly the most elastic material in the world. So eventually you run into issues with the US connectors, but they can usually be saved, and one testament to their durability is a very common belief, and I do it, honestly. I don't think it hurts. It may not be the solve-all, because there's a lot more steps to it than just simply boiling it. And that's the secret to cleaning a 72-pin connector for the NES, is literally taking the whole connector out and boiling it. Remember, this was feeling pretty corroded, so I'll hit that with some cleaner. And I'll give that a rub. That's not really super necessary to clean, but if I can get a little bit of extra rust and corrosion out of the system, I will. This stuff's completely safe to use on electronics. Always make sure it's discharged and you're not connected to your mains power whenever you're doing any kind of work like this. Always be sure of those things. This stuff is comes in handy for using it on things like switches. I would actually recommend something called Deoxit. It also kind of lubricates. It's probably actually the better thing for the system, but I don't happen to have any of that on hand. So I'm just going to take this stuff and work it into some of the bits, help loosen up any dirt and grime, and before I put it all together, I'll hit it with the air compressor again, and hopefully that'll help get rid of any debris that may be loosened up. Now, the thing I really had an issue with, that I really wanted to use this for, yeah, might as well get the power cord too. Fuck it. Fuck it. When in Rome. That was kicked. There we go. Whew. Yeah, there's a good bit of dirt and grime built up in here. And even though this person did a very good job recapping the system, there's always a chance that they'd even think to clean this part. One thing you would think they'd take into some consideration the system did come straight from Japan, and being an island, everything there should be pretty prone to corrosion. There's really nothing you can do to stop corrosion, especially if you live out near open water. Like, say, like, even if you just lived in, like, New Jersey, Atlantic City, like, you got an ocean there. Things are going to corrode, things are going to rust. That's just a given. There's no way around it. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and give the outsides a good buffing and cleaning, and then I'll get back to you guys when this thing's put back together and ready to test. So, see y'all in a minute. Alright, comrades, we're all done with the basic cleaning. One thing I did notice while putting this back together, the person who did the recap, though the recap was done phenomenally well as much as I could tell without looking at the other sides of the boards, they didn't properly thread the screws back in. So that's a little bit of a pain in the ass. So there's already a little bit of wear and tear on the screw posts, and that can get very risky for systems like this at this age, because that could eventually lead to the screw post breaking if you have to constantly take it apart and put it back together and so on and so forth. However, if you see, the system has a very new-like shine, cleaned up very well. I'm going to go over it with a dry cloth in a little while to get any excess off. I usually use something like this, or even like an Armor All type product. It's kind of up in the air whether or not these are good for your systems. I figure if you're using plastic restoration stuff, which is what I'm using now, versus the Armor All, you can also find them with UV protection. And the benefit to finding something with UV protection is if we knew about that back in the 80s, maybe all of our Nintendos wouldn't be yellow. Because we could have protected our systems a little bit better. So, you know what? I'm just going to pick you guys up and carry you with me and take you over to the testing station, and we'll see how this bad boy works. Unfortunately, I do not have a Famicom cartridge to test things out with. I already am eyeballing a few that I would like to own, so I will be getting to that. But for right now, we're just going to have to settle for only testing the floppy, which honestly is kind of my biggest concern anyway. Like I said before, those cartridge drives they don't quit. They are built to fucking last. So, we will be testing this out with some 3D Hot Rally from my good friend. Brought this back from Japan with him. So we got side A. That clicks right in. Let's power on, power off. Get our power cord in there. Sorry, trying to do this one-handed. Okay. So we have our disc in, powering on, and we got a gray screen. That's probably my fault. Yes, that's what happens when you have it in cartridge mode and you don't have a cartridge. Ooh, listen to that purr. Ooh. Oh yeah, baby. It only needed a cleaning. There's probably no chance of me being able to actually play this one-handed. I get an eye. Oh, there we go. Got a little bit of an angle there. Let's see. Zoom in a little. So yeah, this is the Sharp Twin Famicom floppy disk cartridge system. Forgot I'm in manual. Were automatic shifters a thing already in the 80s? I'm pretty sure they were. I don't know anything about cars. This is a 3D compatible game. I'm not sure how the 3D worked on this. It may have been kind of like the Sega Master System. It was a glasses that was a extra peripheral. You actually had to plug them in. I'm thinking that was the case. I don't believe these would have worked with your basic like red and blue like movie theater glasses. No idea what collecting those even did. Maybe they're actually just in there to look cool with 3D effect. But yeah. Thanks a lot for joining me on this adventure, comrades. If you'd like to see a detailed cleaning of the controllers, let me know. I left them out of this video because they are built into the system, like actually attached, and I just didn't feel like dealing with that today. But yeah, hopefully Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be out in a few days, and I'll be doing an unboxing and letting you guys know how I'm getting on with that. I'm just going to zone out for a minute and play this little gem, so I'll enjoy some of the footage. Ooh. The plants have faces. The rocks have faces. This is the best game ever. Forza Horizon needs to get good, and this is where it's at. They're just out there overcomplicating things for no reason. Perfection's been here since 1987. This is the most fun I've ever had of just by myself and my two hands since the first time I played Slippery Seal. Whoa, 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 whoa! Who puts a rock in the middle of the road with a face on it? Oh, you think you better than me?